Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Rad Dad podcast. Today we have another host of Dudes Talking Freedom, just rolling through the whole crew. They each have their own perspective on things going on in our country with our kids and their community. And it's one of the things that I wanted to continue down the path on of community and what we're learning today. We were just talking about some educational stuff. What we've seen during the pandemic and the recent news. We'll get into that a little bit, but Jeremy, welcome. Introduce yourself. Give us your background. What you're doing now, and your experience as a dad.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, my name is Jeremy White. I moved to Texas about 3 years ago. And I grew up in the Northeast and outside of the Boston area in a town called Foxborough, Massachusetts. So if you've heard of the New England Patriots, go Pats.
I'm a big Pats fan myself.
All right, nice. So grew up, loving the Patriots through the bad times and then, of course, the good times. Went to school up there, went to a business school, Bentley College, now Bentley University. They've changed it, I think 5 or 6 years ago. Got a degree in marketing, BS in marketing, and BS is exactly what it stands for.
It's all about the experience.
Yeah,
the older you get, you draw on that experience more, and then say, okay, I was going to react like this, but experience has shown me to not act like that.
Absolutely.
Let's take this in a different direction.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I feel like I do my best as a father, and I learned this from my parents. Both of my parents were really good at having conversations with my brother and I, and drawing out what was wrong through love. It was always coming from a place of love, right? If your kids know you love them and you have their best interests at heart and you're always saying you love them, I don't ever go to sleep at night, or I don't ever let my kids go to sleep at night if I'm home. If I'm traveling, it's tough because, sometimes different time zones and things like that. And oftentimes I might go 24 hours without having a conversation with my kids. Less so since the pandemic, because I'm around all the time because there's a lot less travel.
Yeah, they were home, you were home.
Expense accounts have been squeezed. You just, you can do more with less. We were talking before about new screens in the home office and Zoom calls and all of those different things. So, but
it's my little sanctuary now.
It is, yeah. But with the kids, I don't ever go to bed without telling them good night. God bless, sleep tight. I love you. I'll see you in the morning. Same thing with my wife. Everyone says hey, don't go to bed angry. I always say, good night, love you, see you in the morning. And making sure that you reinforce that with your children so that when you do have to have that tough conversation, they know that the conversation is coming from a place of love. And I'm just like any other dad. I get frustrated. I yell. I'm an animated guy. I'm from the Northeast. I swear a lot. I've got a
Northeastern people swear a lot? I've never met one before.
I grew up watching Andrew Dice Clay and Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? So it was, kind of part of my DNA. It's a lot of, they call us massholes up there in Massachusetts, and there's a reason for it. A lot of road rage, a lot of traffic, and we're just not as nice up in the Northeast, which is actually why I love Texas, because we moved here. My wife was like, we got to go to Texas. It's like she's from New Jersey. Nice. She's from New Jersey, which is arguably just as bad as Boston.
Just as bad or worse.
And I worked. I got hard working in the New York area for over a decade or more. Sure. Dealing with a lot of bankers and executives in the financial space. So you get hard doing that. You get calloused. But having that kind of passion on the home front and, always having those discussions with your kids from a place of love, even though you're yelling at them sometimes or you're reprimanding them for behaviors that they shouldn't be exhibiting, you always have that in the back of their minds. They know that you love them, and then you can soften the blow by helping them solve their problem, right?
Yeah.
If it's a problem they're having and you can draw that out of them, it may take some time. They may cry a little bit because they're really uncomfortable and they don't want to share because they think maybe they're handling things the wrong way and you're going to second guess it, or you're going to correct their behavior, or going to say you should do something different. And maybe that is the case, right? Maybe they are handling it the wrong way. And maybe you do need to intercede and suggest that they take a different approach. But for me, being in sales leadership has prepared me to be a father. You know, when I first was a dad, just like everybody else, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? I got to change this diaper. Like, you kidding me? You got a video I can watch.
How
like,
do
break
I
up
do
the
that?
iPad,
Where does it go? And,
and of course,
how
I'm
do you
doing
wrap
it
it
wrong
up properly?
Yeah,
So
urine
you don't have
spraying
spillage.
everywhere,
Yeah.
all that. So it can be daunting, it can be scary. And so, being comfortable when you're uncomfortable, getting comfortable when you're uncomfortable is critical in my industry. And there needs to be, and when you're negotiating with people, you're having conversations with people, you want to have some constant tension there, because that's what makes progress. Tension makes progress, right? If you're not feeling some level of
absolutely.
tension or some level of uncomfortableness, it's hard to move forward, right? It's hard to grow, right? If you're just comfortable all the time, you're not learning anything. You're just comfortable in your own skin, and you're just kind of like hanging out, letting life pass you by. But if you get uncomfortable, you're learning new things, you're putting pressure on yourself, you're putting a little bit of due pressure on your kids, not undue pressure, because we all know, especially with like sports and academics, parents can be, I want my kid to be the next quarterback of the New England Patriots, which would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. But the reality is it's unlikely, right? So it's prepared me to have those conversations in a much more direct way, coming from a place of love. And it's always a learning experience. I mean, I'm not perfect. My wife would be the first one to tell you I'm not perfect. But I'm the first to admit that I'm not perfect. But I do my best every day. And I believe that my family sees that and understands that it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge to be a dad. It's a challenge to be a mom. Moms are super anxious people. They're always worrying about their kids, They're always worried about whether or not their kids are going to do well in school, or, have good quality friends in their lives, and not get into trouble, not get into fights, And now with like phones and texts and all this other stuff, it's like becomes progressively harder to do that in today's day and age.
The amount of conversations I have to have with my son at home usually stem from influence of children at school. So whether it's a friend, showing him a TikTok, or, saying something, I'll look and be like, where the hell did you hear that from? I don't say it. Your mom doesn't say it. Like, oh, a kid at school. And I'm like, no, here's why we don't say that. Here's why we don't talk like that. Here's why we don't do that stuff at my house or your mom's house. So let's nip this in the bud right now before it becomes a habit. And I mean, I had a conversation with him Monday night. So I coach his hockey team. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult being a parent, being a coach, when you're that type A person. You want to be the best at everything. And one of my favorite words is work. I know there's work to be done, so I need to get to doing it. And I'd rather work my butt off and be good or be great than work my butt off for the opposite of that. And I look at it as you're either working to be great, or you're just not working, which is the opposite. So it's still work to be horrible. So you have to want to not be better, which is even worse. And I told him a story before the game, like, hey, don't you want to be the best out there on the ice? If the puck gets taken from you, like you sprint your little butt after that puck and you stop that guy from scoring, or girl, it's co-ed. Or, if you're playing offense, trying to score, like just battling. And that's what I love so much about hockey, is it's a battle on every end of the ice, every part of the ice. Very physical. It's a battle. You have to want that puck to take it. And I was telling him a story about the best business person I've ever met, like hardest worker, smart, and everything that this person has done, like they conquered. And, they made an impact, a lasting impact, and then would move on to the next thing and do the same thing. I saw that person do it over and over and over again. And it was all because of hard work. They would miss out on meals, miss out on sleep, miss out on family events. And I was like, but that's the best person I know at business. And I asked him who he thought it was. And he's like, I don't know. I was like, it's your mom. I was like, she's the hardest freaking worker I've ever met. The biggest business.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, the best business person I've ever met. I was like, and she's your mom. And I work hard too, but not in comparison to her. I've seen her just grind through it, and it has some ramifications that are negative on the back end as well. But to get him to understand, hey, your parents work hard. You don't have to worry about your lights being turned off, where your next meal comes from, the transportation to get you to school and all the events. I mean, ice hockey is one of the most, if not the most expensive sport to play.
So, early morning practices, equipment, ice time, all that.
Let him know how well he has it and how good he has it. And say, hey, but all that comes from hard work. Mm-hmm. Sales just don't magically appear on my desk or my email box.
Nope.
You have to work. You have to know what it is that you're doing. And I've been trying to teach him the difference between confidence and cockiness. Right now, he has a lot of cockiness, and cockiness is just confidence without the knowledge. Mm-hmm. So like he doesn't have the knowledge yet to be confident, and it shows. On the ice, it shows. Got a progress report yesterday, and
how old is he?
He's 9.
Okay.
And I remember being 9, 10 years old when it clicked like that for me with baseball, and I just fell in love with it. I'd wake up early, practice. I'd practice at home. I'd practice on the weekends and wake up early. I loved it. And I think the kids nowadays are pulled in so many directions with so many different topics. And that could be sports, that could be TikTok, YouTube, whatever, pulls their attention, grabs their attention. And that's why they have an inability to focus. And it's why before the podcast, we were talking about some things that are going on in the educational realm. Me reading a New York Times article this morning that we lost 2 decades worth of progress during the pandemic in reading and in math.
Yeah.
That's going to have a generational impact.
Oh, yeah. 20 years worth.
Yeah, 20 plus years worth of an impact. And it's weird. I remember growing up in the educational system and always hearing about this race against China and other countries to be more educated. And unfortunately, it was go to college, go to college, go to college. And that's why we're in the mess that we're in with student debt. But it's, applying what you learn to make the U.S. a better place, make the world a better place. And granted, it takes sales guys like ourselves to sell those ideas. Mm-hmm. But it's at the end of the day, it's still hard work. So it's working hard and at math and reading. Those are the 2 lowest grades of my son's on his progress report. And I was like, why are they low? Sometimes I don't understand it when it's my turn to do the math problem on my sheet of paper.
Yeah. The curriculum is flawed.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, ask a question.
Yeah, right.
That's how I've gotten through life. That's how I learn, is just ask questions. I think the main difference is your generation, my generation, has been taught to think critically and look at that problem, like in our jobs, and try to find a solution. Yeah. Some of us are taught, some of us are not.
Yeah, some of us learned it along the way.
Yeah, some of us paid attention, some of us didn't pay attention.
I'd say half of us don't think critically. I would say half of our generation don't think critically enough, which is why we're in the mess we're in.
I would say it's more than that.
Yeah,
probably. It's more than that, where it's just, if you can't hit the easy button, you actually have to think about it. Mm-hmm. We look forward to joining you on the next episode, and just subscribe so you get a notification every time a new episode comes out. And listen to the Dudes Talking Freedom podcast. It's pretty awesome. You get to find out different things going around in the Prosper area, and then just everything going on in America right now. So, hey, thanks for joining, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me.
See you guys next time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining Rad Dad Podcast, everyone. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.